there's one thing you can do that costs no money that you can implement right now before your next performance that will take your performance to the next level. So one of the most important things with any live performance that we don't tend to talk or think a lot about is transitions. And in fact, I see this most often with people that are just getting started using Click and Guide, and they start to get a pain in their neck. And what I mean by that is you start a song, you get to the end of the song, and the lead singer or the front line of people that are at the front part of the stage all go and wait for about 2 measures with complete silence where everyone in the audience stares at them and goes, why is everyone turning around and looking at the drummer? Now, of course, we know the drummer is pressing spacebar, but everyone's waiting for about 2 measures for that click intro. Transitions are one of the things that if we tighten up and get right, will improve the entire experience for everyone. And I've got 4 very simple tips and tricks that you can apply right now that cost nothing, that will take your performance to the next level. Now, number 1 is you can set up your songs in Ableton Live to automatically go from one to the next. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So I've got a live set here from a show that I just wrapped up, and we went from song 5 to song 6, and we wanted to create this kind of feeling of like song 6 starting before, you know, the pandemonium died down for song 5. So we intentionally wanted to cut off the lead singer, the artist, as they were talking. We wanted to already start. In order for that to happen, you can see if you look here, there's actually a count off. There's a click count off for this song. We need to get into that really quickly. So what I did is I set up this song so that at the end of song 5, we immediately flowed into song 6. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to go to the last section here. I've just soloed my click so that we can hear that because I can't play the tracks due to copyright reasons, sorry. But we can listen to the click and hear this. So here's the end of this. Right? And you see it immediately goes to the next song at the right tempo. I didn't have to touch anything. So this is a pro tip. If you really quickly want to get out of one song into the next, then just set up your songs to flow right into each other. In fact, I'll link in the description to a video where I show you how to add crossfades between your songs. And you probably, if you've watched that, you're going, but Will, what happens if my next song is warped? It's at a different tempo. Well, just unwarp your intro, let it fade out, or your outro of your previous song, let it fade out as your next song is starting, and everything's going to be great. Tip number 2 for improving your transitions. This one is dead simple. And again, you can do this in Ableton Live in any software you're using. But it's to create a go word or create a safe word so that as the artist is speaking, as they're telling a story, you're going to take the time in rehearsal to go, okay, this song, let's look at this song here, Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. How long is that intro? How long is it going to take? Actually, there's a drum fill into the intro, so it's going to be maybe a little longer than normal. What can I do so that as the artist is telling their story, what's one word I can listen for so that when they say that word, they're going to know to maybe slow down their timing. They're going to get this just right. If you've ever seen a really good artist that's really good at this, you'll notice they'll tell a story and they'll say, you know, and I struggled really hard, but this is how I overcame. And then immediately the band starts. It's not that the band just immediately starts there. It's that they've done the work to go, and I really, really struggled. Band starts, click, drum fill, in. Now, hopefully that's not the story they're telling before Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, but I think you get the point. So number 2, create a go word. Create a safe word with the artist so that you know exactly when to start click. When they say that word in their story, you know exactly when to start the click. Okay, number 3, trim down your intros at slower tempos. So for example, let's look at this song here. This again is another Christmas song. Okay, you hear it. Most of our songs in this set had 2 measure count-ins, right? Instead of just 1 measure, they had 2. But for this particular song, because it's so slow, what we did is we actually cut that down and made it just 1 measure. So you can hear if I shut up for a second, and then we're into the intro. It's at, let's see, 70 BPM. It's super slow. And so what I did is I went into my live set and I said, okay, we need to lose a measure off of this. So I went into my measures track here. I did Command-Shift-Delete to delete time, and I deleted a measure so that we ended up with just 1 measure of count off as opposed to 2. I see, again, so many bands that, again, they get the neck ache from turning around and telling the drummer when to start. Even if you don't have a go word for when to start click, even if you don't have Ableton flow from one song to the next, even if you're doing this to trigger songs to tell the drummer when to go, if you trim down that intro, that's way better. Again, let's just sit awkwardly and let's listen to this intro for a second. Okay, we start. That was kind of awkward. Imagine that going for another 4 beats, right? A whole other measure. And what's interesting is I think so many times as artists, as musicians on stage, we forget that the audience doesn't hear what we're hearing, right? The audience doesn't hear it that click. They just hear us sitting there and going, right? And I think one of my pet peeves in particular with folks that do this in a worship context, a church context, is we've been sold a lie that the way to create great transitions is by having someone go, with a pad, and we try to use the pad to cover our bad musicianship and our bad preparation. Instead of doing that, go, let's cut down that intro, let's create a go word, or let's even flow from one song to the next. And if you want to slap a pad in there, great, that's fantastic, I'm all for it, but let's prepare and let's make a plan. Okay, so tip number 4 is to have a looping transition at the top if you want to talk. Let me show you, again, practically a way that we did this for this show. So this is a song that the artist was going to talk in the intro of this. And so there was a really big intro. It's a pretty fast song. Okay, so there's our intro. We play through it fully. And then what I set up and created was a vamp section. So before we got to this A section here, we had this vamp section so that at any time I could hit our previous locator and we could just loop back to that previous section. So I could pre-program this with a MIDI clip if I wanted, but I just used a previous locator button on my MIDI controller. I made sure there was no guide cue there. I could add it if I wanted. And we just looped that over and over until we were done with it. And then when we were done with it, we just went on to that A section. This was really, really nice because it helped improve, if you've ever seen, again, we get the neck thing. Another thing people do when they first start using tracks is they try to time out their story with an intro perfectly. So right, if we go back to number 2, I said create a go word, time it so that you know when to start click. What a lot of people do is they make the mistake of trying to time their story to a click intro. And every single time I've seen people do this, even the pros, it gets really awkward at the end and they either end their story or they start talking really, really quickly and then start singing. And everyone in the audience is like, what is wrong with these people? Well, what's happening is in their ears, they're getting a countdown, 8 measures, 7 measures, 6 measures, 5 measures, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then they have to be done. As opposed to that, let's set up our live set so that we can just loop an intro so the artist can talk as long as they want to. And then again, let's have that safe word, that go word, so that when we get to the end, we know, okay, they are wrapping up this time and we're gonna go on and continue with the song. So those are 4 tips that you can apply to improve your transitions instantly in Ableton Live. Again, it doesn't matter what version of Ableton Live you have, intro, standard, suite. It doesn't matter if you have live 9, 10, 11, 11.5, 11.2, 11.3, it does not matter. And it doesn't require any money and you can implement these tips and tricks today. So try them out. Let me know if they work for you. Let me know if you have any tips and tricks for improving transitions. And please don't say use a drone pad. It helps, but let's actually be intentional. Let's make a plan. Let's have good musicianship. If you want some more tips and tricks about performing on stage with Ableton Live using backing tracks on stage, then make sure to hit the subscribe button, enable the bell icon, and you'll see exactly when I go live with a new tutorial. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye.